Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sweatpants BI. It's me, Sean, here. This week I'm going to be kicking off a series of videos on the channel around some of the best books that I've read in the space of business intelligence and data visualization. And we're going to be kicking things off this week with one of the best books that I have ever read on data visualization and storytelling. It's a book that I recommend and talk about all the time. It's mandatory reading on my business intelligence team, and that is Storytelling with Data by Nussbaumer. Knaflic. So in this video, I'm just going to run through some of the things that I really love about this book, why it's definitely a book that you should check out if you're someone who is in the early stages of a BI and data visualization career, and why, honestly, this is the one book that I wish to God that I had written. That's how much I love this book. So let's go ahead and get into why this is mandatory reading and why you need to check it out. Now, I will preface my recommendation of this book by saying that this book is not for someone who's just focused on how to do things in Microsoft Power BI or Tableau or Looker or anything like that. This is not a book for someone who is trying to learn DAX, how to do Power Query Editor, how to, just build dashboards, and how to, better understand the more specifically technical elements of a business intelligence tool. But that absolutely does not mean that reading this book won't instantly make you a better BI developer, because what this book focuses on is understanding why we as professionals and why companies even care about tools like Power BI, like Tableau. This book is focused on the craft of data visualization and how to communicate data and information and insights to people. This book is for someone who's interested in maximizing the impact of the visuals that they're building in a tool like Power BI. This book is for people that are interested in understanding how to communicate information effectively through visual and graphical representation, and by writing text that is going to have the maximum possible impact on communicating an insight or a data point or a change in the company that is possibly going to drive action for a group of people or a team in your enterprise. So don't think that you're going to read this book and suddenly understand DAX. No, the scope of this book is, I would say, even more important, in that it's going to sort of give you a stronger foundation and understanding for why we even bother with something like Power BI. In my opinion, too many people that are early in their BI career, they just sort of throw bar charts and line charts and unfortunately pie charts onto the report or their dashboard, and they just kind of call it a day. They just build a bunch of very rudimentary data visuals that sort of summarize data, like here's sales by all of the top products, here's the, average order size by X, Y, and Z. They just sort of summarize the data in a bunch of visuals and then just throw it onto a report page. And there's no sense of presentation or fostering understanding in those visuals. The people that are building the tools, they're not looking to understand, an underlying narrative. They're not trying to really present anything interesting or dynamic in the visuals that they're presenting. It's just like, here's what we found, go and, find what you can from this mess of visuals that I'm presenting in my Power BI report. In my opinion, there are just not enough books that really juggle data visualization fundamentals with things like human psychology, visual design, narration, storytelling, and all kinds of other things that this book does brilliantly. So, what this book is presenting is a variety of topics that, range not just from don't just focus on how to build better bar charts, but also introduce elements of psychology, sociology, and how people perceive information in order to make sure that the data visuals that you're designing are going to have the best possible impact on the people to whom you're trying to communicate information. Some of the key topics that you're going to find in this book are covering things that are just foundational to someone who's trying to be a stronger data visualization professional. This book talks about the importance of context in data visualization and data storytelling. In other words, you're not just presenting numbers and visuals to potential viewers of your reports or dashboards in a vacuum. You're presenting those metrics and those numbers in the context of other things things and other metrics and insights within your company, to try to drive a sense of urgency in people. If you're presenting just a raw number on a page, that number could sound good or bad, based on what information the person to whom you're communicating has at their disposal. But if you're presenting a number alongside something else, or if you're, adding like flourishes of color, or if you're adding other graphical and descriptive elements to that measure, to help make sure that someone understands that that number is bad or good, or that it might be related to something else that is happening in the business that could be worth investigating. That context is absolutely essential for making sure that your reports are maximizing the potential of the information that you're trying to communicate. This book also has a ton of examples of when you should utilize different data visuals for different situations. So one of the things that I love the most about this book is, it's not, overly, it's easy to read is basically what I'm trying to say. The book is, not just long blocks of text. The book is full of very succinct, brief descriptions of things that you should keep in mind and understand about data visualization, while also giving you very clear examples of great data visuals and what makes them fantastic. Another big focus of the book is the importance of eliminating clutter from your visuals, and this applies to your reports, to your dashboards. Basically, the focus of the book is about self-editing. If you have a data visual or a report or multiple graphical elements, what can you edit or remove from the information that you're trying to present without losing anything important that you're trying to communicate to your potential stakeholders or to viewers of your report. One of the things that I notice when I'm looking at or reviewing Power BI reports from people that are relatively new to data visualization and to developing BI tools is that they tend to have a lot of unnecessary elements in their visuals, and a lot of their stuff tends to be very cluttered, and there's way too much, sort of presented at one time that a human being can realistically process super quickly. Another thing that I really like that can be really difficult for people who are new to designing these types of tools is how to think like a designer and focus your audience's attention on the right things. I know that a lot of people come into Power BI and business intelligence and data visualization from no design background whatsoever. They're doing the things that look good to them, and they're trying their best when they're designing BI tools, but they don't necessarily understand things like color theory or understand the fundamentals of sort of designs that are attractive and why they're attractive. And because of that, a lot of people that are early in their BI tool career, they design a lot of reports that are, for lack of a better word, ugly. That's not intended as an insult. It's just a reality of people that don't have a lot of design experience sort of dipping their toes into those waters for the first time. Yet what this book does so well is it does sort of outline some of the first things that you should keep in mind when trying to think like a designer to sort of make sure that you're presenting information in a way that is first and foremost communicating the right things, but also looks attractive while you're doing it. Because when something looks attractive, it allows our users to not get hung up on the presentation elements and actually focus on what we're trying to communicate. Another thing that the book goes through in pretty good detail is how to improve the storytelling elements of your data storytelling. Storytelling with data and in data visualization is not the same as storytelling in the vast majority of the fiction novels that I have behind me. Storytelling with data is something else. It's basically like trying to find, what is happening and why it might be happening through data and sort of presenting that narrative graphically in a way that people can make connections and maybe understand what might be causing something to happen, and in a perfect world, understand what they should do in order to make a number or a metric move in a more favorable direction, whatever that might be. And last and foremost, and I kind of alluded to this a moment ago, another really useful thing about this book to someone who is brand new to data visualization and BI is that this book has a ton of case studies and very specific examples that get sort of dissected, especially in the sort of last portion of the book, that are definitely going to help you sort of be more responsive and have a firmer, broader understanding of how different types of information get communicated effectively across different situations. So there's all kinds of really, really important topics that are addressed in this book. And the beautiful thing is that she does it, like I said, very, very succinctly. It's one of the easier books that you're going to read on data visualization. I read this in just a couple of days because a lot of the book is full of just really, really solid examples of data visuals that are, like I said, going to make you much, much more effective at sort of communicating data. And the text doesn't get too heavy-handed in explaining those things. Every single word that is chosen, every visual is very deliberate and just descriptive enough and simple enough to communicate the point, which is honestly something that you would expect from someone who is an expert in storytelling with data. If the author of this book can't get her opinions across very succinctly, and lean very heavily on the graphical elements that she is trying to present, then this probably isn't a great book on storytelling with data. But the reason that this book is so short and easy to read is because it's a masterful work on this very, very important topic to someone who is starting a business intelligence or data visualization career. One more thing that I just want to outline about this book are 3 really, really great quotes from the book that sort of stuck with me. The first of these is what matters most when it comes to our visual communication is the perceived cognitive load on the part of our audience, how hard they believe they're going to have to work to get the information out of your communication. Another is each step in reduction and de-emphasis causes what remains to stand out more. And when it comes to communicating with data, is it really necessary to make it pretty? And the answer is a resounding yes. And all of this is just to say that it falls on us as business intelligence and data visualization professionals to really think about how our audiences process information and how they perceive the data and the insights that we are trying to take from our brains using the data at our disposal and communicate and put that into their brains. Power BI and data visualization, I think that there is a fair amount of sort of telepathy happening through the visual representation of our data. So we have to understand that anyone who's looking at this report is only human. Because we're building the Power BI tools that we're developing, we have a different perspective on the information being presented from someone who is jumping into the tool that we built completely blind. We need to understand, the certain obstacles and hurdles that anyone who is completely new to the tools that we're developing are going to have to overcome when jumping into the tools that we're building. And so because of that, we're going to need to make sure that we're communicating information in the most effective way possible. And this means, reducing unnecessary visual elements. Any information that we're presenting in a data visual that is less important, we're going to need to de-emphasize that or kind of suppress it so that our users can more easily find the insights that are important on the page that we're presenting. And then we also need to understand that because business intelligence and data visualization is not just about visualizing data, it is about presenting data and communicating data, that there is also an inherent need for that presentation of data to be attractive and to be aesthetically pleasing so that our users aren't immediately repelled by the cognitive load that is going to be required to process these visuals. They're not going to immediately be repelled by the presentation to where their brains just sort of don't want to work as hard as they're going to need to work to understand what is happening, in the visuals that are being presented to them. But when we make things attractive, it is more inclusive. It invites them in. It makes the information that we're trying to convey more accessible so that they want to get their hands dirty and they want to understand what we're trying to tell them. And it just makes that communication that we're trying to foster happen more organically, more fluidly, and less painfully for our audience. So thank you everybody for checking out my first BI book club review. This week we covered an absolute classic in Storytelling with Data by Nussbaumer Knaflic. I think that there's something in this book for everyone, regardless of where you are in your business intelligence and data visualization career. I was several years into my career when I discovered this book, and I still found plenty of brilliant takeaways that have helped me. If you're someone who's newer to BI and data visualization, no problem. This book's got all of the foundational skills and knowledge that you're going to need to keep in mind, and hopefully will just give you a leg up that much faster and help you really step up your game. If you're someone like me who's been doing this for a long time and has had some success, what I loved about this book was it articulated things that I do in my own BI and data visualization work that have worked for me, but that I've never thought to articulate, or that I've never really thought about why those specific things that I do work. You know, a lot of the things that I do today that work came from just a wealth of experience and trial and error and feedback from my customers. And so those have kind of become habit, and they've been reinforced just through experience with me. I've never necessarily thought that much about why those techniques are impactful in the first place, and that's where this book was just so helpful in sort of helping me understand the why behind some of the things that I've adapted over time that have sort of defined my BI and data visualization style. So that's also why, once again, this book is mandatory reading on my team. I highly recommend that you'll check it out, find it, wherever you can. I ordered mine from Amazon. It's not terribly expensive. I give this, book the highest possible recommendation. I don't know what my rating system is yet for my BI book club, but I guess I give this 5 out of 5 sweatpants. Whatever it takes to make you understand that this book is I consider it to be a masterpiece and a super, super easy read for anybody that's serious about this industry. If you enjoyed this content, and if you're interested in more book reviews or things of that nature, or if you want me to keep the BI book club going throughout 2024, by all means sound off in the comments. I would also love, for purely selfish reasons, to know if there are any books on business intelligence and data visualization out there that you have discovered that are super, super helpful for you, or that you highly recommend. Sound off in the comments. I will probably buy those books and read them, and if I love them as well, I'll probably bring them to the BI book club for future videos. So if you, once again, if you like supporting Sweatpants BI, feel free to like or subscribe to the channel. I'm, for strictly selfish reasons, again, right now, I'm kind of coming up on 2,000, subscribers as I record this. So I would love to kind of keep that energy going in the new year. So anyway, though, regardless of whether or not you like or subscribe, I hope you found something to take away from that book review. And I hope you're, getting ready to order this brilliant book right now. In the meantime, I will see you next time on Sweatpants BI. Thanks so much, everybody.